So now that we've got the newly released Batman v Superman, I thought I'd share my thoughts on it in comparison to the theatrical cut. So just off the bat, there won't be any spoilers for the ultimate cut, but there will be spoilers for the theatrical. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you don't watch the theatrical and you just watch the ultimate. All right? If you want to read my original review and some additional thoughts on the theatrical, you can find the links to the articles in the description. So let's get started. I still stand by everything I wrote about the theatrical cut, but this one so vastly improves it. For starters, there's more Superman. I remember writing my review for Batman v Superman, and I actually forgot to mention he was in there. You'd think that, like, the movie Batman v Superman, you'd remember to mention Superman in the review, but he was just so poorly edited throughout the movie that I just didn't get anything from him. I didn't understand his motivations, I didn't get why he was on screen half the time, and he was just bland. But in this one, Henry Cavill manages to get much more screen time, which fleshes out not only his motivations, but through his scenes you get a lot more on Bruce Wayne's history and motivations, and it also shows more of Lex Luthor's manipulations to get them to fight. As a result of this, not only is the title fight like much more organic, but with the added information and less hectic pacing, you get a lot more room to breathe and actually grow to care for the characters, which I would say is the essential change in this cut. And while the theatrical cut felt like a huge drag at 2 hours and 33 minutes, this one felt a lot more compelling at 3 hours, and I actually found myself thinking it was very breezy when I looked up at the clock and noticed I was already halfway through. But some more general changes along the board. Lois Lane is given much more to do, and her story feeds more directly into the title story. When I watched the theatrical cut, I remember every time Lois Lane was on screen, I was just left thinking, why is she on screen? Let's get back to the more interesting characters. But this time, you're not left so baffled by the cuts back and forth from the title characters to Lois Lane, because her story feeds much more directly into the title story, and her scenes help to expand and explain things that have happened, most prevalent being the Senate bombing. Jesse Eisenberg is also given an extra line here and there, and combined with the far better pacing of the film and the showing of his manipulations to both Batman and Superman, I found it to be much less goofy than in the theatrical version and more sinister. And this time, I was even okay with Batman killing. While it's not true to his character, a few added lines with Alfred here and there and a great monologue at the end left me being less angry at him for murdering and more me feeling sorry for him and everything he's been through, and now I'm ready for him to grow into the Batman that the world needs. And look, while there are still some fundamental problems with the story, this film, through the addition of 30 or so minutes of footage, manages to make you actually care for the characters you're watching, keeps you invested in the plot, and actually entertains. When I watched the theatrical cut, I was just so bored out of my mind. I was this close to walking out of the cinema. It was so confusing and boring. But now, after seeing Zack Snyder's original vision, I'm entirely back on board with these DC movies, and I'm excited to see what Snyder can bring to life, along with Geoff Johns, in the future of the Justice League. Thanks for listening, guys. Now, as this is my first kind of discussion, review, comparison video thing, leave any thoughts you might have down in the comments, and I'll see about starting to make a lot more. Anyway, thanks for listening to the rambles of a madman who, against all the odds, really enjoyed this film. Jay Grizzle, out.